from Fern Creek Stickers, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create a seamless pattern from clip art in Adobe Illustrator. The pattern that you create you can then use in Illustrator, or you can export it for use in other software. And the reason you might want to do this, for me when I make stickers, using seamless patterns is an important part of my sticker design process. I know that not everyone relies on patterns so much in the way that they make their stickers, but for what I do, patterns are really important. And sometimes I will find clip art that I really like that doesn't have seamless patterns that go along with it, so I create my own. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I do want to say I'm going to be showing you the technical side of this, but not necessarily the creative side. There definitely is an art to making good seamless patterns. I'm not super good at this. People who are just really good at this and have the right eye for how to balance and distribute the elements, but I will show you the technical part of it so you know how to do that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have a square artboard. So you can see here the artboard that I have here is 6 by 6 inches, and that's the size I usually work with, but whatever square size that you want for your tile is going to be fine. Then I'm going to come and place the clip art elements that I want in my document. So I've got these pumpkins here, and this is artwork for one of the October kits. Although I've actually already made all the patterns, I'm actually using it for the kit. So this pattern is just for the purposes of this video. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to arrange your artwork. And as you arrange, you're going to want to have it hanging off two sides. And I like to have it be the top side and the right side. So you're going to arrange the artwork how you want it to be, hanging off those sides, and keeping in mind that eventually we're going to be wrapping the artwork around. So anything that's hanging off the top is going to come to the bottom. And you'll be able to tweak this later, but you're going to want to keep that in mind. I don't want to put a pumpkin right here because these flowers are eventually going to wrap around to the bottom. So I will play around with my arrangement here, and I'll speed you up through this. Okay, so here's a first pass. This is probably not the world's greatest pattern, but we're gonna see how this is going to work out. So the first thing we're gonna do once we have our initial placement is we're gonna select everything, and we're gonna go to Object, oops, and I'm realizing here I made a mistake. This should not be hanging off over here because I already have things hanging off the right side. So let me adjust this. Okay, now I have this fixed, so I only have things hanging off of two sides. So I'm going to select everything and go to Object, Transform Each. And what we want to do here is now we're going to copy everything so that we get the same amount of object overhanging on the opposite side. So we're going to want to move everything horizontally by -6 inches. And so you can see, well, I guess you'll see better in a second what happens. The important thing is here I want to click copy instead of OK. If you click OK, it's just going to get moved. And if you click copy, it makes a copy. Then I'm going to come do the same thing and say Object, Transform Each. And this time I'm going to do 6 inches vertically and hit copy. And now obviously there's all these extraneous things that I can delete. I can get rid of the things that aren't hanging over the edge of the artboard. But now you can see here that there is this, like this little side of the pumpkin here, what's on the artboard here matches what's off the artboard on this side. So eventually this will become a seamless pattern. Now the one thing you can see at this point, this is where you can kind of get a sense of like how balanced do things look. And as long as you're not working with things that are overlapping the edge, you can tweak the pattern at this point so that these two pumpkins kind of touch each other. I'm not a fan of how that happens, so I'm going to resize and move those a little bit. And I've got a couple holes here, so maybe I'm gonna put some more flowers in to fill in those holes. The other thing to show you as well is if you do want to move one of these elements without having to delete it and start it all over again, as long as you select the other one and see, like if I decide I need to nudge these up a little bit to move them away from another element, as long as I'm nudging the two of them together, it's okay. So at this point, we're gonna say, okay, I like this. We're gonna see how this looks. What we wanna do now is to create a square that is the same size as our artboard. And I'm going to center it on the artboard. And this is why it's important to know what size your artboard is. I'm going to select everything, and I'm right-clicking here and selecting Make Clipping Mask. And you can see now I have this tile that is, the edges are cut off now, and this is going to make a seamless pattern. And we can test this by, we can go to Object, Pattern, Make. And at this point, it looks a little bit weird, and this is because it's using the size of the actual object before the clipping mask was made. So we just need to come here to the width and the height and change it to 6 by 6 inches, which is the actual size of the pattern. And now we can see how that tiles. And this doesn't look bad. Some of these holes are a little bigger than I'd like. So if I was really doing this, I'd probably stop and play with it a little more with how to distribute and fill in with some flowers. But overall, this looks pretty good. So I can hit done, and I've got that pattern. And you can see here that it actually saved it to my swatches. I'm gonna show you, actually, well, probably not in this video. I'm gonna do a whole other video about pattern fills, but you can see that it's saved to the swatches. So now if I want to make another shape and fill it with this, I can. And we can also, I can show you how we can decrease the size and, or decrease the scale of it. We can see the pattern repeating more in that version. So the other thing that we can do is we can add another square. If we want to add a colored background in here. So let's find a shade there. So I'll just send this to the back. And so now I can select all of this again and do the same thing, Object, Pattern, Make, and then make this 6 inches by 6 inches. And now I've made another version that has a colored background. So I can come do the fill here, and now I've got that version with the colored background in it. So at this point, if you are wanting to just use this in Illustrator, you've got it in your swatches panel here. Again, I'm going to do a whole other video about using seamless patterns and how to save and organize your swatches, but you can just go to Save Swatches, and that's going to let you save them so you can go use them in a different document later on. If you're wanting to use this in other software, what you're going to do is you're going to go to File, Export, Export As, and you are going to want to select this Use Artboards. I'm saving it as a PNG, and I want Art Optimized, and then you're going to save it, and then this is going to be ready now to use in other software. So let me open up Silhouette Studio and show you. Okay, so I imported the pattern into Silhouette Studio. I'm going to draw a rectangle and then come fill with this pattern. And I'm going to scale it down so you can see the repeats. And one thing when you're working with seamless patterns, sometimes, okay, it was showing, sometimes it'll show the repeats when you're at certain scales or you're zoomed out a certain amount. I'm sorry, Silhouette Studio is super slow. Oh, it would help if I actually had selected the rectangle. So let me see if I can get to that. So do you see here right now, you can see the white lines, which is showing where the tiles end. Sometimes those lines will show up, but they aren't actually going to print. And usually if you zoom in and they disappear, you know that they're going to go away when you print it. And, but usually if you export it the way that I did using the artboard, for me, I haven't ended up having issues with lines when I go to print. So that is how to create a seamless pattern from clipart in Adobe Illustrator. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it useful, and I will be back with continuing to give some more videos on using Adobe Illustrator to make stickers.